So hello again, everyone, and thank you very much for coming today. And yes, my focus, there still is echo, but okay. I will try to endure it. So today I will talk about three main issues. It's funny, I have to talk to you, but my presentation is there. So I will be doing like this all the time, sorry. Ah, stenography, stenography is the answer. So firstly, I will introduce like an overview on what is this vegetal turn in social and human sciences. Then I will talk about get closer to my own topic of research on women and plants and why I think these two subjects need to be studied together. And finally, I will talk about the notion of ferality and feral feminism and feral intimacy, which I hope is also one of these concepts that Noelle was referring that we need to expand these vocabularies that traverse different disciplines. So this could be my contribution to that. All right, so and I'm aware that we have to leave at 5:30, so I will try to respect that so that we can be in time to listen to what the Minister of Culture will say at the opening, right? So, all right, let's stick to that. So, what is a plant turn? Probably all of you have heard that there is this tradition how we think about the Western philosophy, that we think about it through this paradigm of terms, or the metaphor of terms. So the most recent ones are the linguist. Well, okay, what is recent and not recent, we can of course discuss, but like the linguistic turn, the material turn, the posthuman, then digital turn, etc. And then recently there has been this plant turn, and I would like to quote from Marcello Di Paola, his edited book, The Vegetal Turn, where he kind of describes that it's something that's going on for the last 30 years. And there is a crowd, yes, a crowd of botanists, philosophers, literary scholars, artists, environmental scientists, psychologists, historians, biologists, ecologists, anthropologists, health scientists, and practitioners, architects, urban planners, indigenous scholars, environmental activists, engineers, and computer scientists who has contributed to bringing plants to cultural attention in and outside academia. I wonder, yeah, artists. So there are artists, that's fine with it. But of course, what is missing is feminist contribution. I don't see it here. And it's not because that there is no feminist contribution to the vegetal turn, but because feminism in general is still marginalized and still not considered to be like the real philosophy. So it's quite common in this mainstream thinking to, even when we address subjects which are kind of have been marginalized so far, it's very often that we still reproduce the same, I don't like it very much, but okay, the same way of kind of biases, and we still think that yes, feminism is something very specific, very specific. So I will try to slowly, not slowly, but lightly highlight what are these main directions in how this vegetal turn and plant thinking has been evolving. And I highlight three main domains. One is plant science, ethics, and aesthetics. Again, a lot of connection with previous talk. And when I was thinking, what is the main question which each of them, or each of these disciplines addresses? Yes, it would be great if I had my presentation here, but I guess that's impossible. So the first one asks the question, how and what do we actually know about plants? The second is this ethical part. So how do we live with plants? How do we treat plants? How we should treat plants? And the last is aesthetics. And yes, I wrote this question: what is the meaning of plants? What do plants mean to us? But then somehow I thought, I don't like how it sounds. It's so much focus still on this elusiveness of language, of consciousness, all that the material turn has kind of warned us against. So I kind of offer you an alternative question. So why plants matter? And of course, through this question, we can directly connect with the materiality of plants. So I felt that I want one slide with boxes. So I thought that it will be this slide, but these boxes, they don't really represent a structure, even though they might seem there's a structure. It's just a rather random collection of key terms. And of course, when we come to plant science, and there are these investigations going on about do actually plants feel and how can we know? And do they have memory and how does that work? What is this plant knowledge? What do plants actually know? And how can we know what they know? Then I also put in the middle plant time. It's again so much about the scales, right? About the big and the small, the minute and these centuries and deep time. And I'm really very much attracted to this notion of plant time. And in fact, as I come also from art history, I'm very interested in what would happen if we use this plant time concept to write art history. I think it would be quite different art story that we tell. Plants mobility and how plants, even though they kind of are rooted and don't really move much, but still they manage to traverse borders, to traverse oceans. How do they manage to do that? Vegetal sex is another big topic, which is very hot, especially by the work of Stella Sandford, because much of what we have known about how plants reproduce also are very heteronormative. And in fact, the current research reveals that plants are very queer. And I guess these are good news for us, I believe. And finally, again, about these collectives, because when we think about the vegetal world, it's at some point it becomes very problematic to establish where is this individuality of a plant and where, because the plant body seems to be rather a collective body. It's a like this notion of individualism that we here in Western Europe are so much attracted. It kind of doesn't really work when we put it into plants' perspective. Right, and again, that's something that I really like. I really like to kind of get away from this very singular, atomistic understanding of a body, and I like to think that rather we're all collectives, and of course we're all connected. So, living with this ethical dimension, of course, there are many issues, and I placed here this image of the great chain of being, which have been also very dominated in Western epistemologies. And actually, it just occurred to me, well, yes, as you see, the plants are quite at a basic level almost. And probably it takes very long time to get upwards to reach the God, but it just means you need to make one step and you're in the hell with all these demonic beings. And maybe that's also something that we can kind of appreciate, right? So basically this living with the plants are about how do we approach plants going beyond the zoocentric lens, because it's again one thing that Western science has been biased, that all beings have been regarded, and also plants for a long time have been regarded as if they were inferior animals. And that's why we kind of, and that is the reason why we kind of came to conclusions that plants lack of many things. Oh yes, of course, they can't kind of move, they can't sing, etc., etc. But what would happen if we would have adapted plant-centric version, and if we really knew all the things that plants can do, and if we would then, through this plant-centric version, look at animals and humans, that, believe me, animals and humans would also appear as a rather lacking and kind of inferior beings. And of course, one more thing that is very important is to how to really make this relationship with plants, which is not based on the idea that we need plants because they are valuable for us, because we can use them. And I think Noelle again highlight very many ways how we use plants. And I want to also emphasize maybe sometimes it's less obvious that also when we say that we go to nature to relax, actually that's also this use value, like a natural environment as a source for inspiration, relaxation, the source of beauty. Basically, that's also about still approaching plants through their use to us. And one more quote, I wanted to have also a quote. It's again from Marcello Di Paola. And I'm sure there are many beautiful quotes about plants, but I really like this in particular. Plants are Earth's breath work. Through, with, and because of them, Earth is what it is, with all its landscapes, animals, cities, plant philosophers, space rockets, and computer scientists, and all the artists who come to Riga. Yes, so this breathing is another aspect of plants, and I have also explored it somewhere else, but not for today's talk. So, and finally, I come to aesthetics, and again, yes, this term sensible, and I'm really happy to hear the same approach, not only in Noelle's speech, but also in all this special issue, which was edited by Yvonne Folkart, that actually we are slowly growing out of this traditional paradigm of aesthetics as the realm of the beautiful and the realm of the high art, and that we start to understand that actually aesthetics is about how we feel and how we engage through feeling with the environment. And of course, plants are very much into this interaction. And so when they think of aesthetics as the domain of the sensible, it allows us to address issues of the sensorial and embodied perspectives. It also allows us to go beyond the human-centered aesthetics. And of course, I mean, this is just a short summary of what Noelle has talked in a very big detail about all the relations that plants produce, because indeed plants are interacted with every realm. I mean, I can't imagine, and maybe it doesn't even exist actually, if there is a single realm in the world which is not somehow connected with plants, right? Like we had this discussion about croissants. And I said, but where are the plants? And this is why we have croissants. And then, of course, but croissants are also plants. Like I didn't think of that. And of course, once we have relations, then we have also politics, because as Hannah Arendt has defined, this is the politics is what happens in the space between me and you. So when we start to interact, already some politics is going on. There are some yellow lines appearing. I like it. So this is a short, just an artwork from Latvian artist Ilze Rukšāne. She's also a student in Art Academy, and she's doing her master on the plants. And I really like this work of her, because it's called Earth, My Diary. And again, it's about how we approach time, and how we measure time, and how we measure our personal time and Earth's time and plants' time. And so just I thought it would be nice to have this image of her work here. So now a slide with no text, only images. And these are all images that I took with my mobile phone. So here, and I'm slowly approaching the part of women and plants. And as you see in this women and plants approach, there's also at least one man, which means that men are not at all excluded. And so these are all images from my country house, which uh, how to say it. So you remember there was this lockdown in COVID pandemic, and many people, at least in Latvia, realized that in fact, why do they need to work in office? They can work from their country houses, right? And those people like my family who don't have their country house, they said, but why don't we have a country house? It's a mistake. We should have one. And so we were kind of in search, and we found this small house. Well, this is not the house; this is a barn. Yes, but it doesn't matter. And it was like this few years of COVID pandemic was a time when I was experimenting with gardening. And also, it was the time when I was really working on my thesis. So my daily routine was always working with thesis, like to the point of exhaustion. Well, it's always to the point of exhaustion. I don't know if you manage to. And then, okay, now I need to really somehow. And then what shall I do? And then I went to the garden to work with soil, with plants. And of course, as a beginner, I had a lot of enthusiasm, and I also managed to have a lot of fun, and it seemed very, very rewarding, especially because like you write your thesis, it's like a never-ending process, pages of text, like what's going on, I don't know how it will end, I don't know. And then I go to the garden and I kind of water my plants and I see the results immediately. So it was also about this kind of like that I can actually do something in the world, and I kind of have this sense of progress. So I was working in the garden and I really liked it. Now I don't like it anymore so much. I'm not anymore the beginning. The beginner, I'm already am an experienced gardener. But then I still was like, oh, it's so great. Let's plant more potatoes. Let's plant this and that. And I was thinking, okay, and I was really doing my feminist stuff, working on this book about feminist art in Central Eastern Europe in post-socialist context, that nobody wants to have feminism, but we have feminist art, and how to talk about it. Maybe visceral aesthetics can be the way how we can frame it, etc., etc. And then I was, oh, but these plans, I mean, there has to be some connection. Do plants participate in feminist world making? That was my question. And I thought, but they should, I mean, it can't be that they are not participating, but how? I need to find it out. And I need to find it out. And this question was on my mind. And of course, I already knew something about ecofeminism and all this environmental feminist tradition. But I wanted to do something which has to do with like with now here with post-socialist Eastern European context. So I was kind of postponing, but this idea was on my mind. And then I graduated I got my doctoral degree, and I applied and I received a grant, a postdoctoral grant at Strathclyde University, where I'm now working. And it was on the agency of plants, totally new theme for me. Then I discovered later that agency is one of these kind of most even popsy concepts. Maybe I'm not so original, but well, for Latvia, it was still like groundbreaking. So, women and plants. Why are they so close to each other? And I think there are two big reasons, and this is also actually the basis of my current research. First of all, thesis number one. So, in Western cultures, which are shaped by anthropocentric, colonial, and patriarchal legacies, both have been marginalized and misrepresented. I think Noelia has very well described already this misrepresentation of plants. So maybe I will focus a little bit more about how women have been in a similar way misrepresented. So firstly, reduced to their use value. The use value of women, do I need to kind of highlight, or it's already visible for everybody? Visible. Everybody knows. So to be nice, to support, to produce children, to take care, to make this labor of reproduction, to sexually entice men, etc., etc. So passive and non-agentic, that means that both plants and women, they traditionally in Western culture, they have not been regarded as the subjects. They have not been like the ones who make history, yes? And that doesn't mean that they don't make history. They do, but these traditional ways how we narrate history, it usually omits all other subjects which are not white men. I'm sorry, I don't know why, but that's the fact. And then both women and plants, well, they're not really rational, you know. They somehow, yes, they kind of have brains. Well, we know that plants don't, we used to think that plants don't have brains. No, we don't think so anymore, I believe. But about women, yes, but do they make use of their brains? And isn't it that isn't it that all the blood goes to their womb? And isn't it their purpose in life? Like all this kind of so and indeed, if we look at how this femininity, womanhood has been framed in theories, they are usually women are associated with material, with the instinctual, the primitive, well, something like this, really like vegetal beings almost. Then both have no voice, and it again has to do with their kind of failure to acknowledge their subjectivity and acknowledge their impact and contribution to history, to culture. And then one more thing, which is actually rooted in and we see it in everyday life and how we talk in everyday life, is there a symbolic connection that they seem to share the same life cycle. So to blossom, to bear fruit, and then lose freshness and wilt. But luckily, they are disposable. Yes, it's very much about how we talk about women as well. I mean, I wish we didn't talk like that, but it's still the fact that it's going on. So these are my take on women and plants. So the same kind of dire situation, but then also both of them, just because of all these misrepresentations, they hold a significant potential for cultural re-evaluation and disruption towards regenerative, more sustainable models of thinking, relating, and co-living. So this is this approach, basically, which is based on the idea that when we want to make some change, maybe a revolution, we need to look at the margins, at those which are outside the center, because then there is this energy, these resources, these alternative approaches to doing things, and that by looking at the margins, at the periphery, we can get this energy, strength, knowledge, how to change also the center. Yes, so here I think it works perfectly well. And okay, I still have time. And now I would like to share with you how I try to do that. But I'm really just at the beginning of my explorations. So I'm pressing. No, nothing happens. Oh, oh, something happened, but not what I wanted it to happen. So let's try again. Nē, tagad vēl neskatāmies. Vēl nē, es gribēju nākamo slaidu, bet man nesanāca pārslēgt. There is a technical misunderstanding. No? Yeah, excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So my one of the research I have done recently, and I will share with you a little bit more details, is about ferality. The concept of ferality as a rewilded return. And I think that not only plants go feral, and not only like pigs and dogs go feral, but also women go feral. And that once women go feral, I think that's quite a good thing to happen to women and to the society in general. So basically, I apply this concept of ferality to make a research which resulted together with Zita Karkla, who is a literary scholar. And in my part, I focused on art, and she focused on literature. And we combined two case studies to coin this new term, feral intimacy, where the main argument in this article is that walking in forest, and because that when we walk in forest, we attune to the forest and we make relationships to the forest, which are not only schematic, but also very embodied and based on our sensorial experience. And when all of this happens to us, then there is this feminist disruption occurring. So this is in short, and now I will guide you step by step how we came to that conclusion. And my case study was a video work from Eva Weber, and is she here? Yes, she just arrived. Excellent. And I guess I will. No, sorry. First, I will highlight for you the theoretical framework, and then we will watch together some part of her video, and then I will explain what are the conclusions I made it. So first of all, this argumentation is based on the first premise, which kind of looks at these binary oppositions of the domesticated femininity, so women's places at home, etc., etc., etc. And then what is the forest? Forest as a place for real men when it's full of dangers, bears, wolves, and real men go to forest to kind of reclaim and strengthen their masculinity, etc., etc. Then even more, the wilderness, the craziness of forest is enhanced through understanding that forest is a space of randomness, arbitrariness, and irrationality, inhabited by all sorts of outcasts and outlaws, fugitives and persecuted, mad and leapers, the fallen and the beasts. So these are the people who are usually exposed from society, from the village, who don't fit into the order, so they're dangerous. And they go, okay, they kind of, okay, out, out. And then, of course, if we think about what kind of women do we actually meet in the forest? Well, I guess one type of women. And these are witches. Witches, and why? Just because of that they fail to fulfill their domestic roles, and they live outside these patriarchal expectations. Or very often witches have been widows, unmarried, and childless women, right? So women who are not productive, there's no use of them anymore. So out. And economically independent or possess knowledge of alternative healing practices. So this is how these women fit into this category of outlaws, right? And then this last consideration is that walking alone, as well as free time and time for self-reflection. Well, if we look at this cultural history of Western society, these are not the activities kind of reserved or made for women, right? So these were kind of these premises, the set of premises that I approached the video. And let's see. Yeah, I think that now we can have a look. Well, so the video is 6 minutes. Who wants to watch it for 2 minutes? Hands up. And who wants to watch it for 3 minutes? I think more hands for 3 minutes, right? Okay, let's watch it for. And how many options do you want? 6? You think that you will be able to watch it? Oh, okay, let's go for 6 minutes. Okay, you're shy. So, um, by the way, this video, it consists, this work of art consists references to at least three forests. One is in Latvia, one is in Estonia, and is Norway. And, and when we were sending out this article to peer reviews, we were getting like comments which we never thought of. Like, yes, but are you actually aware that the forest in Latvia is not the same as the forest in Norway? I'm like, oh my God, that's true, but we didn't think about it. And do you actually know? I mean, and how? I mean, what's the way out of it? And then a kind of this our solution was to say that yes, we know that they are different, but in our article, we don't focus on the biological, on real forest, and we use this term affective forests. The affective forests whose ontology is based in the existence of the artwork. And then it doesn't matter if it's Norway or, I don't know, Argentina. So it was our kind of way out of this awkward situation. And I will not disclose you. Now I want to go back to my presentation. Hello. Hello. Nobody's there. Man vajag atpakaļ prezentāciju. Kā? Ah, tiešām, sorry. Tiešām, paldies, atvainojos. Right, this is my presentation. I mean, come on. True. So, now. Bet man pults tā kā negrib viņu atpazīt. Hmm? Not responding anymore. Nice. Thank you. Es varu arī atpakaļ patīt. Šis pulcais nedarbojas, viņa ir jau nosēdusies. Man jāmērķē uz jums. Man vajag vēl iepriekšējo slaidu. Okay, so I will vēl 5 minūtes. Well, okay, I have only 5 minutes. All right, then all of these things are actually in the article, you know. Maybe we can skip them and then just go back to the last slide. And one next. Yes. So based on our analysis of my analysis of this work of art, which was in the previous slide, but I didn't have time to talk about it. So I propose this term of feral intimacy, and in this, which is based on how walking in forest, of experiencing also both fears and some kind of fascination with forest, of making this embodied immersive engagement with the forest atmosphere. This a very particular kind of relationship is produced, which is called feral intimacy. And then in this kind of being inside of this relationship is the moment when you can shift your identity, and your identity is blurring and overlapping. And that's how the forest becomes a place of affective resistance, transformation, and a change of perspective. And also how this domesticated feminine identity becomes untamed and unconstrained. And this is, by the way, all these are lines of these forest horizons, which I also like very much, and how it results in this feral feminist or feral feminine identity that departs from heteronormative ideals and social roles which are still inscribed in these patriarchal societies. And I'm afraid that this populist thing, which is now everywhere in the world, it will again remind us again and again of that these identities what are expected of us. So, well, okay, we still have 3 minutes. Thank you very much.
If there is one question,
One and the only.
one and the only question.
Okay, first thanks, really impressive, really inspiring. And I mean, maybe you mentioned this in between, but I believe also women build community in a political way. The men, sorry, guys, but they don't do, or if they do, it's because they have this fluidity inside, or maybe they learn from us. And this is like, for me, I mean, coming from Argentina, we have very, like the main important and revolutionary movements were made by women. Mothers of the Plaza de Mayo, and now the ecofeminist, I mean, no, the feminist movement, Ni Una Menos, and so on. So, and this is so reflected in your presentation. So I'm looking forward to exchange. Thanks.
Nice, thank you. Yes, we have to struggle together.
But this book, do you also include that feminism is not very popular in Eastern Europe?
No, that's the main problem in Eastern Europe, that feminism is not popular
Yeah, I
at
know.
all.
I know, I write in my PhD also.
And it's
15
quite,
years ago.
and
about
it's
this.
very surprising
Yeah.
because like everywhere.
It's even taken with very big negativity.
Yeah.
Really, like very big resistance against the
Yes,
feminism.
exactly. Partly because of
Rita,
this.
I can tell you.
Yes, so partly it has to do with this Soviet legacy of how in Soviet times gender equality has been defined, and people didn't really like it, so they didn't realize that this gender equality definition is kind of a little bit distorted, so they kind of take it for granted, and then kind of now that Latvia became free, it was this kind of basic idea to get rid of everything, all the bad things which the Soviet time brought us, and gender equality as one of those bad things which forced women to work hard, you know, to lose their femininity, etc., etc. So this is one of these reasons. And the second reason is because that in Soviet time, any art which was politically engaged was viewed with suspicion for good reasons, because of course there was this kind of authoritarian regime, and art which engaged with politics, it always engaged only with the right ideas of politics. And then there was this idea that true art has nothing to do with politics. It's always with transcendental truths. This is the true art. So again, in this, now when they say, oh, feminist art, oh, no, this is this political art. It's not the real art, it's just propaganda. So this is another, well, this is just how to answer this complicated question in half a minute, yes.
The third is that feminism always was associated with these bad Western habits.
Yes, with this true also.